Before we start, please make sure to like this video and hit this subscribe button, so you never miss a story like this. And also comments where you are watching from, how many sons and daughters you have. Thanks.
My name is Derek. And I swear if I could bottle up the rage I felt that night, it could burn down every lie that taxi firm ever told. You did what to my mother? I shouted into the phone, standing in the middle of my living room, fists clenched so hard my nails bit into my skin. You left her? She's 70. She's blind. And you just dumped her in the dark like she was trash? Watch your tone, mate, the man on the phone barked back. His voice dripped with arrogance, the kind that comes from years of getting away with things no one ever challenged. I didn't even let him finish. You're lucky I'm not there in person. Because if I was, there'd be no words left. Just broken windows and truths no PR stunt could fix. See, this isn't just a story about a taxi ride gone wrong. This is about what happens when you mess with the wrong person's mother and you think you can walk away like nothing happened. Let me take you back. It was late, close to 10 p.m. I was finishing up emails when my phone rang. Mom. Now, my mother never calls that late unless something is really wrong. I picked up, and I'll never forget the sound of her voice shaking, scared, like she was trying to hide how cold she was. Derek, she whispered. I don't know where I am. The man dropped me off. He said he didn't know the street. I told him, but he just left. My throat dried instantly. She couldn't see anything. Blind for years. Elderly. Frail. She's got a heart condition. And this man, this so-called driver, dumped her on the side of the road like some forgotten parcel just because he couldn't figure out how to type an address into a GPS. I'm walking. I think it's this way, but I don't know, it's cold. I heard her crying quietly, trying not to let it out too much. It took her 45 minutes to find her own home. Wandering in the dark. Alone. And the worst part? She paid him for it. He took her money. Then told her to get out because he had to go back to the rank. I could have broken something right there. I called the cab company immediately. Took me 3 tries to get through. When someone finally picked up, it was a man with a greasy-sounding voice, the kind that thinks every complaint is just another customer whining. I'm calling about my mother, I said, my voice low, controlled. She's 70. She's blind. And your driver abandoned her tonight. I need his name. He scoffed. She didn't give a house number. She did. You just don't want to admit your driver couldn't be bothered to find it. I want a name. I don't have to give you anything, he spat. Maybe she should have stayed home if she can't handle being outside. I went silent. My hand tightened around the phone. You're telling me that you're okay with a blind woman being thrown out on the street? That you think that's her fault? He laughed. He laughed. She made it home, didn't she? That's when I snapped. No, I said, voice shaking now, she survived your negligence. There's a difference. And now I'm coming for everything. You think this is over? I haven't even started. I hung up before he could say another word. The first thing I did was look them up. Facebook. Business records. Photos. Reviews. I found the owner's 3 personal accounts. Pictures of him posing in front of cabs he didn't even drive anymore, just managed. His name was Dean. Real smug guy. And the driver? Mom remembered his name. Kev. That was all I needed. I found Kev's profile in 10 minutes. There he was, Kev the cabbie, posting about how soft people are these days, posing with pints and bragging about working the night shift grind. I found his wife's page too. Their kid. The house. Everything. But I wasn't gonna stoop to harassment. No, that's what they'd do. I was going to take them down the right way. Loud. Public. Permanent. By morning, I drafted a post. It was direct, honest, and brutal. I included every detail. How a local cab firm dumped a blind woman on a random street. How they took her money. How they swore at her son when he asked for accountability. Within 2 hours, it was everywhere. People were tagging local news stations, sharing it in community groups, commenting things like, "My nana uses them, I'm never booking again. I had a similar experience. Driver got lost and blamed me. Who just abandons someone like that?" The pressure started building fast. By lunchtime, their Facebook page was flooded with 1-star reviews. They turned off commenting, then deleted the page. But it was too late. The screenshots were saved. The story was out. And I wasn't done. I called the local council, reported them for unsafe practices, logged a formal complaint with the taxi licensing board, sent them the call recording, the part where the owner literally said she should have stayed home. Then I went even further, contacted a journalist who covered elder abuse and accessibility issues. A week later, the headline read, "Blind woman left on roadside by local taxi firm, son speaks out." Dean and Kev had to face the music. You want to play games with people's lives? You better be ready for someone like me. But even with all the chaos, it wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about justice. About sending a message. Because when you mess with someone who's already vulnerable, someone who trusted you to get them home, you don't just make a mistake. You commit a violation. And sometimes, the loudest message you can send is one that costs them everything they thought they could get away with. The morning after the post went viral, my phone didn't stop buzzing. Calls. Messages. Screenshots. Even people I hadn't talked to in years were forwarding me the link. Strangers were tagging me, thanking me for speaking up. Turns out, I wasn't the only one. I used them once, someone commented. Driver yelled at my disabled brother for not getting in fast enough. My mom's a cancer patient. They made her walk 2 blocks because they didn't want to wait outside the clinic. It was like floodgates opened, and suddenly, Kev and Dean weren't just 2 names anymore. They were the face of a pattern. A rotten business run on shortcuts, silence, and the hope that no one would ever push back. But I wasn't silent. By noon, I got an email from a local radio station. They wanted to interview me about what happened. At first, I hesitated. I wasn't looking for fame. I just wanted justice for my mother. Then I looked over at her. Sitting quietly at the kitchen table, clutching her tea like it was the only warm thing left in the world. And I remembered the fear in her voice that night. I wrote back, "Yes. I'll come in tomorrow." The interview aired at 8:15 the next morning. I told them everything, start to finish. How she'd trusted them. How Kev took her money and threw her out. How Dean swore at me on the phone and tried to gaslight the whole thing like it was our fault. The host asked, "What do you want to see happen?" I didn't even blink. I want their license pulled. I want no one else's mother ending up in a dark street crying because someone couldn't be bothered to do their job. It lit a fire. Emails flooded the licensing office. Complaint forms. Demands for investigation. The city council posted a statement by the afternoon. "We are currently reviewing multiple complaints regarding redacted cab company and will take appropriate action based on findings." I knew I was getting close. I could feel it. That night, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I let it ring once, then again. Finally, I picked up. "You think you've won?" a voice growled. "Kev." It was Kev. "You've got no idea who you're messing with, mate. You think a few posts are gonna take me down? You think you're some kind of hero?" "No," I said calmly, "but you're not going to abandon someone's mother again, are you?" He went quiet. "You know what I've got now, Kev?" I continued. "The truth. Witnesses. recordings, photos, and the full attention of a town that now knows what kind of man you are. Just drop it, he hissed. You made your point. That was the moment I knew he was scared. 2 days later, it happened. A new statement was posted on the council's site. Their license had been suspended pending further review. The firm was ordered to cease operations immediately until all investigations were complete. I showed the post to my mom, and for the first time in days, I saw something different in her face: relief. You didn't let them win, she said softly. No, I whispered, we didn't. But the damage didn't stop there. Turns out, Dean had applied for a council contract to provide transport for disabled students. After the scandal broke, that contract was revoked. Sponsors pulled out. Local businesses took down their logo from their sites. His firm's Google listing was flooded with hundreds of angry reviews. Kev? He tried switching companies. But in a town this small, word travels fast. No firm wanted to be associated with the man who dumped a blind woman in the cold. His name was Poison. And his Facebook? Gone. Wiped clean. Deleted. But screenshots last forever. It wasn't just about taking them down. It was about rising up for every person who'd ever been mistreated and told to just let it go. I didn't let it go. Because my mother matters. Your mother matters. Every vulnerable person deserves dignity. And if that means making noise? Good. Let them hear it from rooftops. Let them know we're not scared anymore. I didn't expect to see him again. Not in person. Not so soon. But 3 weeks after the council suspended his license, I walked into the corner shop for milk. And there he was. Kev. Standing near the counter, greasy hoodie pulled up over his head, arguing with the clerk about the price of cigarettes. I froze. My chest tightened. I wasn't scared, but I was ready. Ready for whatever came next. He turned, saw me, and paused. Oh look, he muttered, loud enough for everyone to hear, if it isn't the town hero. I stared right back at him. And if it isn't the coward who left a 70-year-old blind woman in the dark. He snorted. You seriously still crying about that? You got what you wanted. You ruined my life. I stepped closer. No, Kev. You ruined your own life. I just stopped you from doing it to someone else. The clerk awkwardly shuffled between us, pretending to arrange gum packs. Kev smirked. You think this is over? You think you've done something great? All you did was run your mouth online. Big man. Couldn't even say it to my face. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I leaned in, looked him dead in the eye, and said. She cried for 45 minutes in the dark, Kev. She wandered the streets a blind because you couldn't be bothered to punch a street name into Google Maps. You didn't forget her. You chose to abandon her. Something in his face twitched. She told you the street name. She told you everything you needed. But you didn't care. You just wanted to clock off early. His voice dropped. You don't know what it's like. I was tired. My kid was sick. I had to go back to the base. You left someone's mother in the street. You took her money and threw her out of the car. My voice cracked slightly now. Do you know what that does to a person? She didn't sleep for days. She kept thinking she did something wrong. I paused. She still blames herself. Kev didn't speak. For a second, I thought he might say sorry. Instead, he laughed. Dry. Bitter. Well, maybe she should have been clearer. I didn't know the road. I can't read minds. You drive a cab, I said. It's your job to find streets. Silence again. I could see it now, he wasn't angry because he felt wronged. He was angry because he got caught. Because the world saw what kind of man he really was. And the mask wouldn't fit anymore. Enjoy the rest of your cigarettes, I said, turning to walk past him. You'll have a lot of time to smoke now that you're out of work. By the end of that week, things had escalated. The council launched a full inquiry. Turns out Kev wasn't the only one doing this. Dean, the owner, had hired multiple unlicensed drivers under the table. Half the cars didn't have proper insurance. Some didn't even have working GPS. It was a disaster waiting to happen, and my mom had just been the one to expose it. A local journalist reached out. They wanted to write an in-depth piece. We agreed on one condition. My mom's name wouldn't be used. This wasn't about making her a spectacle. It was about making sure this never happened again. Then came the letter. A formal notice from a law firm representing Kev and Dean. It accused me of slander, defamation, and emotional harassment. They were threatening to sue. I read the letter twice. Then I laughed. Because attached at the end was my own post. The one I'd shared online. Every word of it was true. And every witness that had come forward only strengthened the case against them. I called a lawyer of my own. She read through the documents and shook her head. They don't have a case. They're just trying to scare you. Classic bully move. That's when it hit me. They were desperate. Desperate to stop the truth from spreading any further. Desperate to silence the one voice they couldn't control. I didn't back down. I published another post that night, this time with screenshots, recordings, statements from other customers who'd been mistreated. No lies. No exaggeration. Just the truth. And the truth hit harder than any threat ever could. A few days later, I got a message from someone I didn't expect. Dean's wife. I'm sorry, it read. I didn't know everything that was going on. I want to help you clear this up. We met in a public place, just a quick coffee. She looked exhausted, like someone who had carried a lie too long. She gave me access to emails, driver logs, and internal messages between Dean and Kev. Proof. Proof of negligence, cover-ups, and worse. I handed it all to the investigators. The case against them was no longer just moral. It was legal. People say revenge doesn't help. Maybe not. But justice? Justice helps. Justice is watching the firm get permanently shut down. Justice is knowing Dean won't ever operate under that name again. Justice is seeing Kev's name removed from the council's driver registry. Justice is hearing my mom laugh again without fear in her voice. And justice is just getting started. The town turned colder for Kev and Dean fast. One by one, local businesses took their stickers off the firm's cars. Corner shops stopped letting them park out front. Even the primary school canceled their contract, putting out a public notice, until further notice, we will not be using or recommending rides from the company involved in the recent elder abandonment incident. It was like a dam had cracked. People who'd been quiet for years finally spoke up. One woman shared that her teenage daughter had once been picked up by a driver from that firm, who took a detour through a dark alley before dropping her home. A retired war veteran said he'd been overcharged for months until he stopped using them altogether. Everyone had a story. And now, no one was afraid to share it. Dean tried to rebrand. New logo. New phone number. Same drivers. Same lies. But the internet never forgets. And neither do people who've been mistreated. The council issued a permanent revocation of his transport operator's license. Not a suspension. Not a fine. Permanent. No appeals. Kev tried to sign on with a neighboring cab company under a different name. That didn't last long. Within hours, someone posted a photo of him on their page. Isn't this the guy who left a blind lady in the street? The company deleted the post. And Kev disappeared again. My mom? She stayed quiet at first. She kept saying, I don't want trouble. I just want it to be over. But then something happened. One Sunday morning, our local community hall invited her to speak. I don't want to talk about myself, she said at first. I told her gently, you wouldn't be. You'd be talking for all the people who never got the chance to. She thought about that. Then nodded. I'll never forget the way she walked into that hall. Blind cane tapping lightly on the wooden floor. Head held high. No tears. No shaking voice. Just strength. They handed her the mic, and she stood there, calm, still. My name is Ellen, she said. You could hear a pin drop. I was left on the street. Not because I did something wrong, but because someone didn't care enough to finish their job. They took my money. They told me to get out. And they drove away. She paused. Let it hang. I am not the only one. But I was the one who was found. What if I hadn't been? Her voice grew stronger. What if I had tripped? What if a car had come around the corner too fast? What if someone had hurt me? Would they still say I hadn't given a house number? Would they still blame me? People were crying now. Including me. All I ever wanted, she said, was to feel safe when I got into a cab. That's not asking for too much. That's not being difficult. That's being human. She ended with this. I didn't ask to be part of this. But I won't be silent anymore. She stepped down to a standing ovation. After that, the shift was complete. The newspaper ran a follow-up story titled, Ellen Speaks, the Woman Who Exposed a Town's Broken System. Radio stations replayed parts of her speech. One local lawmaker called me personally and said, We're updating passenger protection laws because of what your mom went through. You both should be proud. But that wasn't why we did it. We didn't do it for headlines. Or revenge. Or even justice, really. We did it because no one deserves to be left in the dark. Because the next time it might be someone else's mother. Or grandmother. Or child. I walked past the old cab office one last time last week. The sign was gone. Windows boarded up. A for-lease sign barely hanging on by a piece of duct tape. Fitting, really. It wasn't just a building that had collapsed. It was the arrogance. The carelessness. The assumption that no one would ever speak up. Later that night, Mom and I sat on the couch. She held her tea like she always did, both hands, slow sips, thoughtful silence. Then she said something that stayed with me. You know what hurts the most? I turned to her. What? It wasn't being left behind. It was thinking, for a moment, that I deserved it. That I must have done something wrong. I didn't have words. I just reached over and held her hand. You didn't deserve it, I whispered. You never did. And she smiled. Small. Soft. But the kind of smile that says, I believe you now. It was quiet for a while after that. The town moved on. The Facebook pages that once screamed with comments slowly fell silent. Even Kev disappeared from sight. No profile photo. No status updates. Nothing. And for a while, that was enough. Until the phone rang one rainy Tuesday evening. It was an unknown number. I almost didn't pick up. But something told me to. Hello? There was a pause. Then a voice I hadn't heard in months, gravelly, low, and stripped of the bravado it once carried. It's Kev. My chest tightened. I figured you'd hang up, he said. But I didn't know who else to call. I said nothing. Just let him keep going. I lost everything. The house. The car. My license. Dean skipped town. Owes me money, but he won't answer. My wife, she left last month. Took the kids. He sounded like a ghost of himself. No anger. No excuses. Just a man buried in his own consequences. I just wanted to say. I didn't mean for it to go that far. I was just tired. That night. Rushing. Didn't realize she was blind at first. Didn't think. My voice was cold. You didn't think she mattered. He didn't argue. You know, I added, you're lucky she made it home alive. If she hadn't, we wouldn't be talking over the phone. He went quiet again. Then came a shaky breath. I'm sorry. I don't know what I expected to feel in that moment. Satisfaction? Relief? Rage? But all I felt was empty. Because an apology at rock bottom isn't the same as one made when you had the power to do better. After that, I told Mom about the call. She just nodded slowly. Did he sound sorry? I hesitated. He sounded ruined. She gave a small sigh. I don't want to hate him. I just want to forget. I looked at her. Do you forgive him? She thought for a long time. I don't know, she said softly. But I forgive me. Forever thinking I wasn't worth being treated better. That line, it stuck with me. Because that's what this whole thing was really about. Not revenge. Not takedowns. But restoring someone's dignity. A few months later, something happened that I never expected. Mom got a letter in the mail. No return address. No signature. Just 5 words on a plain white card inside. I saw you. I'm sorry. Folded inside was a crisp check for $10,000. We never figured out who sent it. Dean? Kev? Someone from the council? A stranger who heard her speak? It didn't matter. Mom never cashed it. She framed it. Hung it on her wall with a small gold plate beneath it that reads, "Because I am worth seeing." Today, my mother is a speaker. She stands in schools, in nursing homes, and even in driver safety courses. She tells her story not to shame, but to change. And every time she speaks, someone in the crowd wipes their eyes and whispers, "That could have been my mom." As for me, I stopped wanting revenge a long time ago. Not because they didn't deserve it, but because she deserved peace more. And she got it. Not from watching them fall, but from standing tall again. Because sometimes, the most powerful revenge is refusing to be invisible.